uncertainty makes us pause and think about investments. So I'm delighted to have you all here today to clear the air, to bring certainty and predictability to the business community. Because that is what the business community is really asking for. And whenever we can do that as good partners and shareholders in business, well, then we all win. This new tax law helps to do that.
I think our tax system keep evolving, keep reforming. We have upgraded so much in terms of tax administration, modernization. Even those we are not complete our LOT in the past, but we keep noted from the private sector input, noted and comment, study, compile together, and now become a new law, comprehensive law that make everyone, especially on the private sector, more easy to read. We are in the process now to translate this law into English, Japanese, and Chinese as well. One of the key points that in the RMS is to promote a fair playing field. You cannot afford to pay tax with a competitor who not paying tax. And I will not allow the non-compliant to kill the compliance. As I'm working also with the Ministry of Economy and Finance on a macro policy to project this year growth and next year growth as well. They determine based on the projection of GDP growth. This year budget, we supposed to collect 3.4 something billion US. Based on economic growth, 6.6%. But later this year, maybe February or March, they refocus and they drop to 5.6, 1% of GDP, a lot. But the Ministry of Economy and Finance and the GDP did not drop our target. 1% of GDP, a lot of tax need to be collected, but they don't drop. Instead, we are strengthening of reforming, strengthening of our good governance, strengthening of more cross-check to combat all the tax evasion, to collect 3.4 billion.
The new law on taxation brings together dozens of amendments, definitions, regulations into a single document. And as a teacher, I very much appreciate having a single document. For those who wish to learn tax, it will now be much easier for us to have this single reference to refer to in compliance, in practice, in learning.
I think as the taxpayer and official of the GDT, we have very difficult to find our law and provision in a separate document. So that's why one of the reasons we are going to have a very good consolidated one document for the law of the LOT. Among the 255 articles in the 2023 law of LOT, only 9 articles has no change. And 246 has been changed. So it sounds for me, in case that I don't know the law and I am a taxpayer, I feel scared about that. Actually, because I don't know which one. Maybe the one I used to make it has been changed to another one. So I had to learn on that how to comply with the procedure of tax law. But like our DG has just mentioned that don't worry, we change. But the rule and procedure has not been changed so much. Just some point.
So under the new law, what areas should taxpayers be careful about or be aware of in regards to ensuring that they are compliant?
A few points that I noted from the new tax law, you should highlight to your management, because most of the investors also form the FDI, which they are board of directors, their bosses abroad. So highlight to them there are certain things that are important to take note, especially the definition of PE. So be careful of PE, because whatever that contract they use the overseas company is signed with the local company, you cannot really get away if you achieve the PE. So PE is important. Second is capital gain tax. So if you are holding company elsewhere, so take note that capital gain tax you were subject to that if you dispose the share of your company in Cambodia. So the next one I take note is also the VAT on e-commerce. There's a lot of transaction between your holding company, whatever, with your local company. So they may subject to the 10% of EWAP. So take note of that. And of course, the last part is one of the major concerns of private sector, which is tax audit exercise. So do note that GDT now have a very complete and comprehensive mechanism on the administration and also the tax enforcement. And one of the things I want to highlight is the number of days in responding the notification is important. Make sure you respond on time.
Now the public lighting tax has been changed. Previously it taxed on each stage of the supply of the good, also of the good that related to public lighting tax. But now it taxed only one time at the stage of the supply. And under the law, we will wait and see for the subsequent prakas or regulation on how to implement this public lighting tax rate.
As we can see that there's been an increase in revenue collected through tax. And I think we can see that for year over year, as your digital system get more sophisticated, also as we include to enforce more on the digital services as well going forward. There was something that I thought in mind is to perhaps a reduction in the tax rate for businesses across the board, or give startup businesses within the first 2 to 3 years a reduction in the tax rate. And I'll tell you why, because I feel that these two recommendations, taken one or the other, is that it could help stimulate the economy and also could help further collect taxes down in the long term.
Yes, to provide more people to come voluntarily register to us. That's why this morning in my speech, I want to encourage the informal to formal. to go in the system, we will allow incentive for that.
You see, recently, as I know, the threshold level is increased at least 4 times already. So before, people that subject to salary tax now can be exempt from tax on salary. So that they enjoy their increasing of salary.